Also, a developing story tonight. The estranged husband of the missing woman from Winter Springs has now been named a person of interest in this case. And now, Shakira Rucker's family is taking matters into their own hands.
Yeah, this video shows them searching the woods in Winter Springs right near her home. Fox 35's Hannah McKenzie is joining us live tonight. So, Hannah, you spoke with her brother just a short time ago. What did he tell you?
Well, John, Luann, obviously Shakira Rucker's family is desperate for answers tonight. It's been 3 days since she was last seen, and we're told the man she was allegedly with is not cooperating with investigators.
The smell was the first thing they noticed. It was coming from one of the storage units on Wiggins Road in Apopka, Florida. At first, the employees thought it was nothing. Maybe spoiled food. Maybe oil leaking from a vehicle. But the man renting the unit next door knew something wasn't right. For days, he had watched a strange liquid slowly seep under the wall separating the units. Dark red mixed with a watery fluid. He had taken pictures. He had told the staff. More than once. But no one opened the door. So on the evening of November 18th, 2023, he called 911. When deputies arrived, they cut the lock and slowly pulled open the metal door. Inside, lying on the floor of Unit 3032, was the body of 37-year-old Shakira Rucker, a mother of 4. She had been missing for 6 days, and while her family searched desperately across Central Florida, she had been inside that storage unit the entire time. The question that would haunt this case wasn't just who killed her. It was something even more painful. If someone had listened sooner, would she have been found earlier? And there was another detail investigators would soon uncover that made the case even more chilling. The man responsible had already been convicted of murder once before, and somehow, he was free again.
If you believe stories like this deserve to be heard, please like and subscribe, because every victim deserves a voice.
Shakira Rucker lived in Winter Springs, Florida. She was known by everyone around her for one thing above all else: her children. 4 of them. At the time of her disappearance, they were 7, 9, 16, and 18 years old. Friends described Shakira as someone whose entire world revolved around being a mother. She worked, she went to church, and she did everything she could to keep life stable for her kids. She wasn't someone chasing excitement or drama. She simply wanted peace. But by late 2023, her marriage had begun to fall apart. Her estranged husband, Corey Hill, had been living separately. What Shakira didn't know was that during their separation, Hill had been living a double life. He had another girlfriend, and neither woman knew about the other. That other woman was Angel Milligan. She had been dating Hill for only about 2 months. To her, he seemed like just another boyfriend. She had no idea he was still married, and Shakira had no idea Angel existed. Until one day, somehow, the 2 women connected. And when the truth came out, everything began to unravel. According to investigators, when Hill realized the 2 women had spoken to each other, he became furious. He reportedly told Angel she would regret it. What happened next would unfold over less than 24 hours, and it would leave 2 families shattered. On the evening of November 11th, surveillance cameras captured Shakira and Corey Hill together at a restaurant in Polk County. This would become one of the last confirmed sightings of her alive. The following morning, cameras at a storage facility in Apopka recorded the two arriving together. Hill had rented unit number 3032 there. The cameras showed both of them walking onto the property, but only one person ever came back out. According to investigators, inside that storage unit, Hill shot Shakira. She collapsed onto the concrete floor. A single fired cartridge casing would later be found near her head. Then Hill simply closed the door and walked away. He didn't even bother locking the unit. Inside that small metal room, a mother of 4 was left behind. At home, one of her daughters had received a text message earlier that morning. Shakira had said she was on her way, but she never arrived. Just hours after investigators believed the murder took place, Corey Hill showed up somewhere else. At the home of Angel Milligan, the woman he had been secretly dating. Angel had already filed a restraining order against him. But that didn't stop him. When she saw his vehicle pulling up outside her house, she immediately knew something was wrong. Hill stepped out of the car, holding a handgun. Angel and her cousin ran. She later described hearing gunshots behind her as she sprinted inside the house. She locked herself in the bathroom while her cousin hid in a bedroom holding a 1-year-old child. Hill kicked in the bedroom door. For a moment, he stood there, face to face with the terrified man holding the baby. He demanded to know where Angel was. Somehow, he never found her. Eventually, he left. When deputies arrived later, they found bullet holes in the house and shell casings outside. Angel and her family survived, but it was terrifyingly close to becoming another tragedy. Hill was arrested soon after and charged with 4 counts of attempted murder. At that moment, investigators still didn't know Shakira had already been killed. When Shakira was reported missing, a massive search operation began. Law enforcement agencies across 4 counties joined the investigation. Search teams combed through wooded areas.
She has a daughter that's out here with us every day trying to figure out just where's mom. And that's the thing that sucks about it. Where is mom?
Family members organized their own search parties. Her loved ones begged Corey Hill publicly to tell them where she was. But sitting in jail, he refused to say a single word. And the one location that might have ended the search much sooner remained untouched: the storage unit. The man renting the neighboring unit had noticed something strange almost immediately. The evening after Shakira disappeared, he saw liquid leaking towards his unit. He filmed it. He photographed it. He reported it to employees the next morning. One of them barely acknowledged him. Another said it was probably just an oil spill. No one opened the door. Days passed. By the time the smell became impossible to ignore, nearly a week had gone by. When deputies finally opened the unit on November 18th, the odor of decomposition was already strong enough to smell from outside. Inside, Shakira was found wearing the same clothes she had been seen on surveillance footage earlier that day. Blood covered parts of the floor and walls. 2 tires had been placed in front of her body. What investigators believe was a rushed and careless attempt to hide what had happened. But it hadn't worked. The truth was finally out. That night, dozens of people gathered at a park in Winter Springs. Candles flickered in the dark as friends and family struggled to process what had happened. Her brother spoke to reporters. He described Shakira as someone who lived simply, someone who worked hard, someone who loved her children more than anything. Now those children had to grow up without their mother. But as investigators dug deeper into Corey Hill's past, another disturbing detail emerged. More than 30 years earlier in Virginia, Hill had already been involved in another killing. In 1992, after tracking down a man connected to a car theft involving his child, Hill confronted the suspect. The confrontation ended with Hill shooting the man. He was convicted of second-degree murder and sentenced to prison. Eventually, he was released. He moved to Florida, started a new life. And the women who would later enter his life had no idea who he really was. By the time they discovered the truth, it was already too late. For Shakira Rucker's family, the grief remains overwhelming. But one thing is certain. They have promised to be present for every court hearing, every step of the case. Because for them, this story isn't just about a crime. It's about a mother, a sister, a daughter, a woman whose life ended inside a storage unit, while the people who loved her searched desperately for answers. And a haunting question that still lingers over everything. If someone had opened that door sooner, how different would this story have been?
If you believe stories like this deserve to be heard, please like and subscribe, because every victim deserves a voice.